Hi, this is Kim Kohler from Emerging Creatively Tutorials, and this is ECT TV, episode 64. Hi there. So today we are going to be making this fun bracelet, and I designed this bracelet because I recently posted a tutorial for this boho tassel necklace, and you may have purchased the supplies and made this necklace. So you will have leftovers from the gemstone nuggets, and I just wanted to show you something you can make with what you have left over. It's always good to find ways to use the bead you get. So if you just use a few beads on one project, you have another project that you can use up the beads, and actually they go together too. So not only are we going to be using the same beads, but I kept the scraps that I trimmed off the bottom of my tassel, and we're going to tie them on this bracelet. So it's a very cool bracelet. It goes very well with the tassel, and I can't wait to get started. So let's just jump into it. So these are the tools and materials you'll need for this bracelet. So first you will need your gemstone nuggets, and you can use whatever gemstone nuggets you want. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm making this tutorial for this bracelet to kind of go with the boho tassel bracelet that I posted on my blog. So these are the same gemstone nugget beads, and you'll have plenty left over after you make your tassel. So you can use these same beads, these gemstone beads, for this bracelet as well. And then also, to kind of give the bracelet a little extra fun, whimsy, boho-ish, to kind of go more with your boho tassel, I kept all the little extra leftovers from my silk ribbon that was from the necklace. So here is the tassel I made, and so I cut off the bottom, and I kept all the extras, and so we're going to incorporate them into this bracelet. You wouldn't have to do that, of course, but you can. And then you'll also need 20 gauge half hard round wire and jump rings. I'm using 7mm jump rings. You don't have to use that big. That's just kind of the standard size I typically always have on hand and use. You don't need this many jump rings. You only need probably, I don't know, 6 or 7. You certainly don't need this much wire. It's just how I bought it. You'll also need a clasp, and I'm using this big toggle clasp. It's 30mm, it's pewter, it's from Happy Mango Beads, and so are the beads and the ribbon. And if you come over to KimberlieKohler.com, and I will put the exact link right below this video if you're watching this on YouTube, I will put links where you can purchase these exact items if you want to use exactly what I'm using for this tutorial. To make it nice and easy, I got them all at Happy Mango Beads. You can get jump rings just about everywhere you buy jewelry supplies, and wire. I'm using para wire. It's non-tarnish wire, it's silver plated. So that's what I'm using. And then the tools you'll need are wire cutters. You will need round nose pliers. You will need chain nose pliers and bent nose, or another pair of kind of flat pliers, meaning that just so there's no teeth in them, just regular jewelry pliers. And round nose pliers won't work. It's for opening and closing jump rings. So let's get started. So we are going to be making this bracelet with wire wrapped bead links and attaching those bead links together using jump rings. And this works well for this bracelet because of the kind of little extra we're adding to it. We're going to be adding in our pieces of silk ribbon, and so it's nice to have a little bit of extra room in between. We're going to be tying them right to the jump rings. In the previous episode of ECT TV, I showed you a technique for interlocking wire-wrapped bead links, and you could do that as well here and just kind of do it a little bit differently than I am. So I'm going to show you how to make a bead link. I'm going to show you how to open up jump rings, and we'll put our bracelet together. I just wanted to mention bracing sizing first. So when you're making a bracelet, you want to know how long to make it. If you're making it for yourself, you can either just measure a bracelet you have that fits perfectly, or you can measure around your wrist, either, you know, with a tape measure, or if you don't have a tape measure, you just have like a ruler like I do here. You could just take a piece of string, measure around your wrist, and then measure how long it is. So measure it exactly how you want it to fit. So if you like your bracelet's a little loose, then, you know, measure that. Or alternatively, I have a little thing I do where I just make my bracelets so they fit tightly, and then when I add the clasp, usually it fits perfectly. Now, in this case, this is a very large clasp, so it's more than 1 inch wide, just slightly more than 1 inch. So you probably want to take that into consideration. So after you have the size you want your bracelet, and I'm sorry for any of you who are old pros at making bracelets, but I'm just going to quickly go through this. Measure the length of your clasp. If you're using a toggle clasp like this, you can just measure around the circle part, or not around it, across it, and see how long it is, and then subtract that from the total length of your bracelet. Then you know the rest of the bracelet that you're going to be creating, you know the length it needs to be. Or you can just kind of measure it as you go. Now, for this bracelet, when you're making your lengths, I'm going to suggest using 3, but I ended up on a sample bracelet that ended up being a little too long, and so what I ended up doing was, and it's kind of like a little game to figure out how many of this size and that size, so I ended up making 2 of my wire wrapped bead links with just 2 of the beads, and the rest of them with 3. So I had a total of 3 with 3 beads, 2 with 2 beads. I have a relatively big wrist, so you might want to make all of yours with just two beads on them. You might want to do what I did and have a couple each way. So I'll leave that up to you to kind of figure out. You'll figure it out as you go along. You might want to leave a roller out so you can lay them against it as you go, or if you have a beading tray, you can use that, of course. So let's get started. Enough talk, more work, right? So I'm starting by cutting a piece of wire about 6 inches, 5 or 6 inches. And we're going to make a wire wrapped bead link. So you might already know how to do this. If you do, then this bracelet's going to be easy for you. So I'm grabbing my round nose pliers. I have mentioned this tip before, I'll mention it again. I like to make a mark on my round nose pliers with a Sharpie before I begin any project, just so I can make all my loops the same size, and the Sharpie will wear off eventually, and you can just remark it again. I don't mind that it wears off, because sometimes I want to change where that mark is. For this project and a lot of the projects I do, it doesn't really matter what size you make your loops, as long as they're all even, so you can put that mark anywhere. I suggest somewhere in the middle. I can barely see, I didn't remark my pliers, I can barely see the mark, but it is there. I can see it. So you want to hold your wire in your round nose pliers, and you want to line up vertically with the mark you have now placed on your round nose pliers, and then horizontally about 1.5 inches from the top, and then you'll have this long part down here that we'll use later. So we start by making a loop, and so you just wrap around the pliers, just the one barrel, and then you can take the loop off, and the loop is completely off to the side. So to straighten this, I have my way of doing this. You may have learned other ways, whatever you feel more comfortable. I do it this way because this is the easiest way for me. This backwards. Okay, so hold the loop. I'm now using chain nose pliers and chain nose pliers. And I'm going to wrap the small end around the long end. And while I do that, I'm just pulling the long end out straight. So just go around one time. And now it's straight. above the wire, which is where we want it to be. So then I usually switch hands because I am right-handed and complete the loops. If you feel comfortable, you can just use your hands and wrap around. I'm using bent nose pliers because that feels more comfortable to me. And we're going to wrap 2 more times, keeping the wraps right next to each other, nice and tight, nice and neat. And then you can just trim off the excess wire, making a flush cut. So it's the back of most normal wire cutters. The flat back part will make a nice straight flush cut. The other side will make a pinch cut, kind of makes your wire pointy. And now I'm grabbing my chain nose pliers again, and I'm just going to make sure that end is not poking out. So now we're going to add our gemstone beads. So you can kind of experiment with different combinations of beads because these are all kind of different and unique, and some stack next to each other better than others, so you can kind of try different ones with different configurations, that sort of thing, until you get 3 that you like, or as I mentioned earlier, you might just be using 2, and just stack those up. And now we're just going to make a wire wrap loop on the other side. So it's the same thing. I'm going to hold the wire just a little bit above. I'm going to straighten out my wire a little bit here. It's a little curvy. Just above the beads, and again, vertically in line with that line that we made on our plier earlier. Again, we're going to wrap around, forming a loop. Grab our chain nose pliers, wrap around once, and while we do that, pull the beads out straight. Okay, switching hands, I'm grabbing my bent nose pliers, and we're going to wrap around 2 more times, right next to each other, nice and close. If you don't get close to each other like I just did, you can just kind of unwrap a little bit, pull over closer. And again, just trim off the excess wire. And make sure the end is not poking out. And that is a wire wrapped bead link. So now we're going to repeat that until you have enough to make up the length of your bracelet. So for me, like I mentioned, I did 3 wire wrap bead links just like this one with 3 beads, and then 2 with 2 beads. And then we can start attaching them to each other. Okay, so once you have all of the wire wrapped bead links you need for your bracelet, we're going to start attaching them together with jump rings. So let me show you how to open a jump ring. You'll need 2 pair of pliers. I'm using bent nose and chain nose, and this is what I was mentioning at the beginning. You can use other pliers, but they should be flat on the inside, so not round nose, not anything that has teeth. Bent nose are perfect for this though. So you're going to find the little slot that is in the jump ring, and then you're going to put your pliers on either side of it. So I know when I first started opening jump rings, my thought was to pull them apart, but you actually don't want to do that. We're going to try to keep the circle intact. So with 1 pair of pliers, we're going to go toward us and 1 away from us. So it's just a real small, simple move. Actually, I want to open that a little further. And so you see, it's open, but it's still in a circle. So then you'll put 2 loops in here. So we're attaching these 2 links together, and then we'll close our jump ring. So to close, you just do the opposite, and then you want to go back and forth a few times. You also want to hold on to your jump ring to sort of harden the jump ring, and then you'll hear it or feel it click into place usually. Now I had this happen, so I'm just going to tell you. Somehow I got this kind of messed up, and my sides are not perfectly together. So you can try to fix that, which I tried to do, or you can just disregard that jump ring and grab another one. I happen to have a bunch open because I like to open a bunch before I do a project. And we'll try this again. A little jump ring troubleshooting. Alright, here we go. And we're going to kind of go back and forth a few times and then click it into place. And you won't necessarily always hear or feel that click, but you usually do. And so now I have these attached. And so you just want to attach all of your links together until it is long enough for a bracelet. Now we're just going to add our clasp to the end. So you just take one end of the clasp and put it on one side and then the other side of the clasp. And again, I'm just using jump rings. So you could be done at this point. I mean, this is a legitimate bracelet. It's very pretty. But I want to add to it because I want to wear it with my tassel necklace and I want it to kind of go, and I have these extra pieces of ribbon. So I have all these little extra pieces of ribbon and they're all about 4 inches or so long. Maybe some of them aren't quite that long. But we're just going to add them to the bracelet. So I'm just going to take this ribbon and I'm just going to put it through the jump rings that are in between each of the links. So I'm put it right through the middle of that jump ring. And now I'm just going to tie it on. I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm just going to tie it and I'm just going to pull it real tight and it's going to be just fine like that. And I'm just mixing up my ribbons. I have fairy ribbon and then just a regular ribbon. The kind of fairy ribbon's a little bit thinner, and so it like bunches up and it's a little bit easier to get through. So you could use maybe all of that for yours if you want. I'm going to mix mine up, and then we're just going to continue doing that. I'm just going to do it on every jump ring in between the links. Okay, so I have all of my little ribbons tied on here, and you may like it as is, like this, or you might want to just take some scissors and go ahead and trim them up a little bit. Make sure they're all even and kind of all basically the same length. Just make sure everything's, you know, nice. Pulled tightly. That's what I was just doing. Make sure they stay on there nice and securely. Okay, so we have all of them trimmed up, and that is the bracelet. Like, that's kind of a fun bracelet to wear with your tassel necklace or even just on its own. If you want to make the tassel necklace, that's over my website at KimberlieKohler.com. I'll put the link over to the tutorial below the video. And I just wanted to let you know I'm so excited. Rediscover Your Creativity and Make Jewelry and Inspired eCourse have just opened back up for registration. I only offer these 2 classes once or twice a year. This year it's twice. I am doing a June session. So it starts with Rediscover Your Creativity and Make Jewelry, and they're 2 separate classes. But you can get a discount if you buy them both together. So Rediscover Your Creativity and Make Jewelry starts June 6th. It is 6 weeks full of creativity and making jewelry, as you can imagine from the title. You get a creativity booster each week, you get jewelry skills lessons, and then you get jewelry projects. So there are 18 total jewelry projects in the e-course, but you will be coming up with your own ideas. in no time, so you probably won't even need my jewelry projects, but they're there for you to give you ideas and to give you something sort of to look at and make, and then you can kind of customize it in your own way. So it's actually 5 weeks of creativity boosters, jewelry making lessons, and jewelry projects. The final week is a little bit different, but it's just to bring everything all together that you've learned, so it's also really cool. And then immediately following Rediscover Your Creativity, Make Jewelry, I'll be running Inspired eCourse. So this is a new eCourse this year. I did it in February, and it was amazing, and now I'm doing it again. And if you took it before, you might want to take it again, because I'm going to be kind of adding things a little bit as we go through. So you don't have to pay for it again, though. Let me just say that if you purchase either one of these classes, you are invited to join in as many times as I have it for free. But if you haven't already signed up, Inspired eCourse is an art journaling and jewelry making class. So basically, I give you art journal prompts and creativity activities. We make art journal pages, and then I show you how to take the creativity out of the art journal pages, pull out all the inspiration, and put that into your jewelry making. So it is a lot of fun. I really had a lot of fun with it, and the students who took it for the first go around loved it too. So we're doing it again. And like I mentioned, you can get a discount if you buy them together. If you are listening to this early enough, you may be able to get an early bird price on everything. There's also easy payment plans available if you can't pay the price right up front. I try to make this as simple as possible for you. So the links will be below the video. If you would like to go check them out, learn more about each of them, you know, kind of see what they're all about, and sign up. And I can't wait to see you there. So have a great couple of weeks, and I will talk to you soon.